So, good morning all, and we're back out with RB on another test ride. This one's going out to Jonathan, and the final part of the ride test mileage to put on the bike's second and final road test today. So we're out giving this one a run, and absolutely love these ZSBs, never have an issue with the ZSB riding it. And for all you that don't know about the ZSBs, if you haven't seen the previous videos, absolutely bomb-proof little bike, does what it says on the tin, nice wide mirrors, bar setup is absolutely perfect, mid-peg position, and these ride like an absolute dream. Now obviously the Euro 5s are on the way, and the prices have gone up a couple of £100 normally on most of the bikes. We don't know what the new price on the ZSB is going to be, but these are the cheapest ones that Lexmoto do, and probably the most reliable, simplistic, and just does what it says on the box. Absolutely perfect bike, these ones. And just up to me now to get the 40 to 45 mile an hour ride test in, and we're currently about 5 miles in off the first ride. Up to me to get another at least 7 to 10 on the bike. We normally put 20k on every bike we road test, and 2 road tests. Now obviously a couple of comments that we had, and someone said to me, he said, what's your ride test mileage, what do you do? And I said 40 mile an hour first, 311 miles, then service 50 mile an hour, that will take you to 932 miles. Yes, but what revs? What I always say on all of my test rides is get the bike all the way through the box as quick as you can, the lowest revs possible, get up to top speed, and then get your speed on. Shouldn't really be exceeding more than around about 6,000 RPM normally. Now obviously on the Lexmoto, when it says 40 mile an hour at 3,000, you're not going to do 40 mile an hour at 3,000 RPM. But easiest way to get your mileage on and keep your revs low is to get it up to top gear, and then obviously vary the revs 40 to 45 in top gear. You're not going to be doing 9,500 RPM in first gear, so I would always say work through the box as quick as you can, get up in the top gear, then get the revs on the bike. So that is how we do our ride test mileage. And obviously a bit of common sense, if the bike sounds like it's screaming its nuts off, change gear. Try to keep your revs as low as possible when running in a bike, and obviously once you get up to top speed, then you can vary your RPM range and vary your miles per hour. Now there's a lot of rides coming out, and a lot of bikes that have all come onto the market now. So the LXR's out, the LXS is out. If you've not seen those videos, go and have a look. We now have the new Michigans coming out, the Euro 5s, but we're still obviously taking calls, people going, oh, you know, got any Euro 4s? There are no Euro 4. If you can grab a Euro 4, then happy days, because you're going to get them a little bit cheaper. But obviously the new Euro 5 bikes are absolutely spot on, just tighter emissions on most of those bikes. And there are another 3 bikes coming out over the next couple of months. I'm not going to say what they are, but we've had the Michigans first, and obviously that new Michigan looks absolutely lovely, so we're waiting for one of those to come in at the moment. I can tell you that we've got the ciphers coming. Hooray! Yes, we've ordered more ciphers after my unrestricted ride test. A lot of people are saying, does it invalidate the warranty? No, Lexmoto state how to do it in the book. It's not going to make any difference to the bike, but all it's going to do is just deplete your batteries a lot more. So if you can keep it at 30, keep it at 30, but if you want that little bit of extra speed, then unrestrict the bike. Very easy to do. Squeeze the front brake, twist the throttle, hold for 5 seconds, turn the key on. 5 seconds later, a little red light pops up and you are unrestricted. And it's the same just to turn the restrictions back on again. And of course the Impulse does that as well. Now the Impulse has that front facing camera, so if you're worried about obviously having a helmet camera, Impulse has got a camera built in, and it records to the SD card in the black box under the seat. So happy days on that one. But I would always say, if you're out riding, get yourself a camera, and you'll know the reason why if you go and look at my crunch that I had a couple of weeks ago. All healed, all better, just still got the bad back at the moment, and it will get better over time, but obviously heavy bruising, and that is why I say all the gear all the time. Get yourself some decent armoured jackets. Don't just go out riding in a jumper or a t-shirt or a pair of jeans. Get yourself some decent rider protection. You can kit yourself out for around 200 quid for some decent gear. Now, coming up this weekend, it is a bank holiday. Happy days, I have a Monday off. And we are going to get the ZX out tomorrow on a Sunday. Weather permitting, they reckon it is going to absolutely chuck it down the rain. I've got heavy rain forecast for today, but as you can see from the conditions, it's nice and dry out at the moment. Had a really good live feed last night. Military Biker turned up, and we jumped on his channel and just chatting about Harleys and general bike stuff. I think I got about 45 minutes in, I was starting to fall asleep. I'd had an 18-hour day yesterday, so hence why I bailed a little bit early and left the boys to chat on for another hour or so. But they did have a bit of a blast. They had a little bit of fun on the channel. And another one that I do like to follow, and he's absolutely hilarious. All his stuff is tongue-in-cheek. It's very, very satire what he does. And that is Bikes, Beards and Brews. Go and have a chat of, have a look at his channel. There's a great one on the rear rock helmet, and obviously rear rock have commented about it. Oh, blah, 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 blah. He's done one on the Harley as well, so that is quite funny. Go and have a look at that channel. And there's some really good stuff on there. Obviously all the bikers at the moment, we're all sort of trying to find content at the moment. There's nothing to do but just ride. And obviously waiting for a lot of people to get back out on their bikes, and we have been told May the 17th all the bike cafes open. Yes, so it means that I can get in the obligatory run to the Super Sausage Cafe. So we're only a few weeks away from getting back out to the Super Sausage, going down, meeting all the crew, having a bit of fun with all the bikers down there, and getting that obligatory bacon and sausage roll for Mrs. Bomb. But 7.6 miles in now on these. Now the speedo on these are absolutely perfect. You've got your miles per hour on that LED display. Very, very easy and visual to see. Nice big rev counter to the outside. And then all your light functions and your engine lights, your main beam and everything is all down on the displays at the bottom. But like I say, these ZSBs are absolutely perfect. Straight out of the box, build them up, get them done, PDI. Never have an issue with any of the ZSBs that we get in. They are very, very good build quality for the money, and obviously they are the cheaper versions of the Lexmoto range. If you're looking at scooters, get an eyeful of the new ones that have just come out. So the Aura and the new Apollo Chieftain is no longer available, but the new Apollo, what a bike that is. That is just a smaller version of the Pegasus, and we have the Pegasus 300 in, so absolutely lovely bike and very, very easy to manage. And I'm just wondering what this nutball behind me is doing. Thank you very much. Hence shoulder checks, people. Never trust a mirror. And very, very low sun today, so thank God that I've got my iridium screen on to deflect some of this light. Now, we were talking about helmets the other day, and people are obviously, I've had a lot of questions obviously via my Facebook, and people have messaged me on the Facebook and said, what's the best helmet for me to buy, you know? And I did cover it on my last video. I would look to spend, or anyone would look to spend, at least £80 plus on a crash helmet. Don't go buying the 30 quid plant pot from your local bike store. Not going to save it anything. Make sure it's got an approved sticker on it. And obviously eBay, watch out if you're buying helmets off of the old auction site, especially if it's a Chinese one, because you don't know if them stickers are going to be the real McCoy or if it's just a copied sticker stuck on the back of the helmet. Make sure it's got a sharp rating. And obviously the rear rock doesn't have a sharp rating in the UK, which is weird because it's a UK designed helmet and not available in the UK. You have to buy it in America and then have it shipped back. So I would go for something, recommended brands, so Arai, Shoei, or something, you know. If you're going to the cheaper brands, then obviously you've got your GSBs. GSBs are a very, very good helmet. But obviously shop around, make sure that the helmet fits you. If they're not going to let you try a helmet on, they should have a demo helmet, or they should be able to measure around the top of your head with a tape measure. But I would always say make sure you try a helmet before you buy it. Don't go getting it home and it's like, oh god, it's really tight, I've got to take it back to the store because they get a bit finicky about people buying helmets and then returning them, because obviously it's been pre-worn. So try a helmet out in store, ask them if they've got a demo helmet you can try, which should be sanitised, and do it that way. But then obviously make sure it's comfortable on the cheeks, it's not pressing too hard. Just remember the foam will wear, it will get a little bit softer over time. And obviously if you do, and there's a couple of tips that obviously I do, if your helmet gets wet, dry it off. What I tend to do is get myself a hand towel or a small size bath towel, give it a quick blast with some Febreze, put it inside the helmet and drop your helmet in the airing cupboard with all the vents open and the visor up. That will soak up all the water into the towel and keep your helmet nice and fresh smelling. There's nothing worse than you put your helmet on and it absolutely reeks of dampness and mould and mildew. That's the first thing that's going to start giving you lung infections. So try and keep your helmet as dry as possible. Dry it off overnight if it gets wet. And then obviously most of the helmets you can remove all the lining, and what I tend to do is, obviously we've got a little steamer at home, I tend to just get the steamer out, steam my pads, let them dry off, put them back in the helmet. That just gets rid of everything and sanitises your helmet. And I normally do that about once every 3 months. And obviously my helmet is on and off about seven or 8 times a day at the moment. But what I always say is, treat your helmet with respect, keep it clean, and look after it. It will look after you. As for visors though, go for a clear visor. Don't go for an iridium or a smoked unless you're just daytime riding, because if you get pulled up at night with one of those, old PC plod is going to do his crust at you. Now obviously the iridium that I've got on does say not for nighttime use, and I tend to obviously ride with my visor up at night, but I've got a set of clear motocross goggles that I just tend to sort of wear carrying my Givey tank bag, that I tend to use for just a daily purpose. So 10 miles in, couple more to add on to the bike, and then we are good to go. And as always, this little ZSB is still pulling along like it should. So we're going to go into town now and do a little bit of that urban mileage now, just get some urban up. Now obviously they've reopened the road down here. Happy days. After 6 weeks of having to divert down the dual carriageway and find other routes, I'm back on Ride Circuit 1. And obviously they've changed it all up. New fencing, everything, because there's a new housing estate going into my left. More greenbelt land that's been swallowed up by new houses. And they've also dropped the road to 40 mile an hour, which is good because that's my maximum for road testing, so I'm not holding the traffic up anymore. And just one final subject that I'm just going to cover, and a lot of people have asked about it: tyres on a bike. Now the Lexmotos normally come with the nylon compound tyres on them. A lot of people are saying, oh yeah, the tyres on the bikes are absolutely crap. No, they're not. Nylon tyres in the 70s and the 80s were all you could get. There wasn't any of these 2CT compounds that we have at the moment. There wasn't any of these performance tyres with all the vents, or the sport tyres with all the different tread patterns. So what people used to do was use the nylon tyres. And obviously nylon tyres are great in the summer. In wet weather they're just as good, but obviously adjust your riding to the conditions of the road and don't overbrake. Yes, nylon tyres can be obviously a little bit more slippery than if you were going full rubber, but it is down to the rider. If you look after your bike, any bike will run on any tyre as long as you make sure that you're riding within your limitations and not overstretching you. Obviously in wet weather you're going to slow down a bit, you're going to take a little bit longer to get into the corners, slow down for roundabouts a little bit more, take your time going around the corner. Just remember you've got 2 tyres on the road, not 4 like you would have in a car. And obviously if you are going up to the big expensive tyres, I'd always say yes, if you don't like your tyres, switch them out. You can get a decent set of tyres for around about 90 quid. And obviously you've got your cheap brands like your Maxxis and all your mid-range tyres. But if you are going up a decent rubber, there are loads of different companies out there. You've got your Bridgestones, you've got your Pirellis, you've got your Michelins, you've got your Dunlops, and they are all very, very good brands of tyres. So what I'd say is obviously it's preferential choice, and if in doubt, there are loads of pages. Obviously Lexmoto Owners UK page on Facebook, there's loads of people in there with loads of knowledge. You do get your obviously your trolls and your haters that don't buy an Lexmoto, don't buy a Sinis, don't buy this, don't buy that. So all down to maintenance and how you look after your bike. If you keep it serviced, warranted, and keep the thing clean and looked after, it's going to look after you. If you're just going to ride it backwards and forwards to work, not give a damn. And the amount of bikes that we see come in where the chain is absolutely hang off. When did you last adjust your chain? No, I don't. I do it every service. Well, if you're doing a service every 6 months, your chain is going to stretch a lot more than that. Daily checks, people. Make sure you get your daily checks in. Before you ride any bike, make sure that all your bolts are all done up. It literally takes you 2 minutes to walk around the bike, do a quick bolt check. Check your chain tension, check your lights, your indicators, and you can get it down to about 2 minutes. I can normally do one of those in about 30 to 40 seconds now. So get your daily checks in. But absolutely perfect, this one. And obviously I run Michelins all the time. I absolutely love my Michelins, and I normally run Pilot 3s on the ZX. On the ZZR, and obviously I'm waiting to pick that bike up. I have Michelin 5s on it. He's just put a set of Michelin 5s on it for me, and they have cost me just short of £250 for the pair, matched pair. And I'd always say if you're changing tyres, stick with the same brand. Don't go putting one tyre on the front and a different one on the back. Try and stick with what they call a matched pair, because you will get better road holding, and that bike will look after you a bit better. But I tend to go for matched pairs, and obviously I've gone for the 5s, and happy days, the ZZR is coming to me around about the beginning of August. So it was all put on hold back in March, and I should be looking forward to getting that new ZZR, and it will be joining the ZX-7. Yes, the ZX-7 is staying now. So heading back to the garage, 13 miles on the clock, happy days, 20k for me. And time to go back for the obligatory cup of coffee and a cigarette. So, don't forget, comments, likes and subscribes, hit the buttons. Don't forget that notifications bell, that will tell you when the next video is coming up. As always, all the info on my page, which is revbomb.co.uk, social media page, all the links are in there. Easiest way to find Eclipse motorcycles, www.eclipsemotorcyclesmk.co.uk. Link down the bottom, telephone number 01908 643 603. Whatever you're doing this bank holiday, guys, have yourself a good one. If you're out riding, have fun, and as always, be well, ride safe, and from RB, it's a big goodbye from me.